Well, get out your tinfoil hat, folks. President Biden will step down in the next few weeks, making way for Democrats to replace him on the ticket before the November election. And it could happen a couple of different ways. These aren't my words. The chorus of Democrats calling for President Biden to step down is impossible now to ignore. And Democratic sources who don't want their names out there, of course, for fear of retribution, are quietly saying, yes, this is going to happen. Biden will step down. Why would he? He's mentally fit as a button. Yesterday, he was very clearly and articulately explaining how he was once professor at the University of Pennsylvania and claims he taught a constitutional law class on the Second Amendment.
Are so damn important. We need you. We need you to overcome the unrelenting opposition of the gun lobby, gun manufacturers, so many politicians when they oppose common sense gun legislation. I used to be when I was no longer the vice president, I became a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Before that, I taught a constitutional law class, and so I taught the Second Amendment. There's never been a time that says you can own anything you want. You couldn't own a cannon during the Civil War.
Okay. Of course, none of that's true at all. And Democrats who are...
Well, he did have an appointment at UPenn.
He thinks he's a professor.
He didn't. Yeah, he was not a professor.
And he never taught a constitutional law class.
No, I don't.
Could you imagine him teaching a constitutional law class?
20 years ago, perhaps.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. I'm going to show you that in a second here.
And what it would have said is war. That's what it would have said.
Here's how to
Constitution wants war.
Here's how to not have constitutional rights, and we'll take them away from you. Meanwhile, Democrats who are meeting with him privately are frankly stunned at his mental decline. And the dementia is on full display, and it's actually really uncomfortable and embarrassing. And this is what they're saying behind closed doors, that they're having these meetings and they don't even know who they're talking to. I mean, it's that disastrous. Peter Doocy asked Corinne Jean-Pierre about this a few weeks ago as to the report on the special counsel and how he's mentally basically not fit. He's not even mentally fit to hold office. Who's actually running the country? Watch.
If the special counsel says President Biden's got significant limitations on his memory, then who is helping him run the country?
The President of the United States runs the country. The Commander-in-Chief runs the country.
How can he be trusted with the nuclear codes if I get that you're saying that nobody in the building would say that he's got an issue with his memory, but just the little part of what we get to see, he's made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake on camera this week.
So I'm going to be very clear here.
I'm glad she's going to be clear now.
The reality is that report, that part of the report, does not live in reality. It just doesn't.
But
okay.
So that's just they just
my
made
reality is the reality that I'm telling you what your reality is.
Yeah.
I was believing her right up until she said, "Let me be clear here," and I was like, "Oh," because she hadn't said that yet.
Yeah.
She hadn't said, "Let me be clear." She didn't start with that, so I was like, "Oh, she's telling the truth." And then she did the, "Now let me be clear," and I'm like, "Oh, there it is.
There it is."
Well,
That's
what would be an
exposes
honest
that
answer?
She's making it up.
What would be we're screwed.
I mean, an honest answer. She can't tell the truth. This is the propaganda. She's the propagandist in chief, right, at the White House. So she gets out there with her binder of notes. Everyone sees it. Mm-hmm. He has dementia. It is full scale. Democrats who are meeting with him privately behind closed doors to go over policy decisions, et cetera, are coming out baffled and befuddled as to who they just spoke with. So it's a legitimate question. Who's running the country? So her response could be, yeah, I mean, when I started working for the president a number of years ago, we could already see that he was in decline. He's now fully mentally in decline. He's not fit for office. Peter, you're right.
It's not great.
What would he say to that?
But it's what we got, and it's got to be good enough.
Like, next question. If she answered like liar, liar, like Jim Carrey in Liar, Liar.
That would be amazing.
Can you imagine that moment? Like, she would have to respond and tell the truth. Next question. Yes, he is not fit for office. Okay, next question. Wait, what? You just said he's not fit for office? Yeah, but we got to move on. Next question. Those reporters wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
They're just regurgitating, of course, the propagandist talking points that come out of the propagandist's mouth. So Democrats
I guess the most honest answer she could give is I'd rather not answer that.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's perfectly honest. And
Well, she has no choice. She has to, right? That's the job. But yeah,
Her body language is all, how dare you?
How dare you ask that question?
Okay, you're going to ask the question. That's the most obvious. Would you rather it just be trending on Twitter, or how about we just talk about it?
So Democrats are now saying this will happen, that Biden will step down in the coming weeks. When exactly will this happen? That's up in the air. Here's Democratic pundit Ezra Klein basically reading the New York Times report on this on his show, admitting, this is what's going to happen. He is not an asset to the Democratic Party. Watch.
He is not up for this. He is not the campaigner he was even 5 years ago. A campaign has certain assets, but the most desirable asset is the candidate. And the Biden campaign does not treat Biden like he's a desirable asset. Step one, unfortunately, is convincing Biden that he should not run again. I think Biden, as painful as this is, should find his way to stepping down as a hero. That the party should help him find his way to that, to being the thing that he said he would be in 2020, the bridge to the next generation of Democrats.
Can you, first of all, he should step down as a hero. He should really take one for the team like Gerald Ford did in pardoning Richard Nixon and therefore assuring that he wouldn't be reelected because he just pardoned the criminal Nixon, right? So he should just take one for the team, right? He's going to be the bridge to the Democrats in the future. So he was just operating as a bridge. He was just there for 4 years. He's the savior. He's the hero we needed at this moment. And he steps in. So even JP Morgan Chase, chief strategist for JP Morgan Chase, biggest banks in the world, saying Joe Biden will drop out of the 2024 presidential race. And when you have major bankers who have the ear of Washington, Janet Yellen, Antony Blinken, all of these individuals, says that this is Michael Cembalest, who heads the marketing investment strategy unit. He says that sometime between Super Tuesday, which was already passed, and the November election, he will drop out, citing health concerns.
I want to say, I do think that some sort of bleeding heart liberals would eat that shit up. Don't you think? Heroic, I'm not up for this, grandpa needs to sit down kind of speech. They'd love it.
Oh, and then they would let him go
tearful. Oh my God.
Stop picking on him.
He's collectively the nation's grandpa.
Yeah.
And we're setting him in his rocker. I can see this. I'm playing it out right now.
Like with some country time lemonade.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, what a hero. He's doing it for us all because he knows it's a death of a salesman moment. Oh my God. That's how you pull the heartstrings.
And of course, he goes out and he pardons Hunter Biden. I'm going to take care of his son. I'm just going to take care of my family. I'm going to take care of my son. And you know what? Leave us alone. Leave the Biden crime family alone. Let us go to Shady Acres. We got lots
of money from China and Ukraine. We're going to be fine.
Let us go to Shady Acres and enjoy our sunsets.
This is the way. We've mapped it out for the Bidens.
So this is a kind of a bombshell over the past 24 hours. So billionaire former presidential candidate Steve Forbes, who is very plugged into what's happening in Washington, just released a video saying that Biden will step down. And here's who likely will replace him. But first, he outlines how some in Washington are perhaps trying to use his mental decline as a bit of a head fake, trying to lure Trump in, overplaying his hand during the CNN debate, trying to use that as a cudgel, right? That maybe Trump will punch him too hard during the debate and, you just hurt grandpa. God, the guy has dementia. How rude of you to attack a guy like this. The guy, poor grandpa over here, has dementia. So they think, and he thinks that that's what maybe part of the Democratic strategy will be. Listen to Steve Forbes here.
The continued, painfully obvious mental decline of our commander-in-chief has revived widespread public speculation of his withdrawing. A few observers think that this might be the political equivalent of a head fake, lowering expectations for his upcoming debate performance against Donald Trump. That highly anticipated verbal slugfest is barely 3 weeks away. After all, there are rumblings of pushing Biden out before his boffo State of the Union triumph. But the volume this time is more extensive and the tone more anxious. The fact that several Democrats, almost always off the record, are whispering concerns to the media reveals growing worries about this president's fitness to stay the course for this campaign. hardly anyone believes he can navigate the rigors of a second term. This, of course, leads to basic questions. Will Biden bow out before the June 27 debate with Trump? Unlike his appearances these days, the president won't be aided by teleprompters. His unscripted remarks are routinely and embarrassingly confused and garbled. Would a combination of anger, which might fuel a temporary clarity of mind, extensive rehearsals, and some exotic elixirs enable Biden to complete a 90-minute debate, especially since the likely moderators would be on his side and former President Trump might overplay his hand? Perhaps this is what certain White House aides and the powerful, highly influential First Lady are counting on.
So maybe that's the head fake that we're talking about here. But I don't buy that. Steve Forbes isn't buying it either. But he says President Biden will step down, and this is who will likely replace him. Watch.
It's a high risk, however. A fumbling performance would make a subsequent pullout particularly humiliating. Even if Biden makes it through the June 27 challenge, his continuing decline in public and private meetings will fire up ever-deepening misgivings among voters, knowing a ballot cast for Biden would be a ballot cast for Kamala Harris, sooner rather than later for her to sit in the Oval Office. When Biden steps down, who would replace him and how? He would likely quit the campaign, but not the presidency. Harris would remain vice president. Fevered meetings would follow among Democrats as party leaders would try to orchestrate the anointment of a candidate the way they did in 2020 with Joe Biden to block frontrunner Bernie Sanders. The frontrunner here would be California Governor Gavin Newsom, who's never made secret his lust for the nation's top job. But Democrats may conclude his record makes him too vulnerable, and instead would go for an unknown candidate with a cleaner slate, particularly one of their governors, like Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, Wesley Moore of Maryland, or Jared Polis of Colorado. A big international financial or military crisis may force Biden out, as he does not have the mental agility to handle such a situation the way John Kennedy did during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Kamala Harris may yet get to sit in the big chair. Either way, Joe Biden will not be the head of the Democratic ticket this November. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening.
Either way, Joe Biden will not be on the Democratic ticket in 2024. I've said it before, and I've said it and I'll say it again. I don't think there's any chance in hell he's on the ticket in 2024. I mean, he is now, but I don't think there's any way he makes it through November. I don't see how it's possible. I don't, especially when you're up against debates. I mean, unless there's going to be some sort of a massive mail-in ballot campaign that they're going to try to pull off. The poll numbers are absolutely disastrous, and there's no enthusiasm whatsoever for them. I don't see how in the world they pulled, and the Democrats know this. Democrats know this. Democratic fundraisers know this. Democratic fundraisers who have been meeting with the president privately know this and are actively complaining about it. You have bankers now publicly talking about it. The Democrats want him out. Joe Rogan thought it was going to happen back in May, but that month has come and gone. So are we just weeks away from this happening?
May.
I think he's got until May.
No way.
I feel like right around May they're going to pull him.
No way.
Yeah.
And Newsom comes in.
I think he just has health problems, and then the country understands, and Newsom is going to have his support fully, and Kamala is going to I don't want to be president. I'm cool with being vice president.
So Kamala will sit sideways on this? I don't know. Newsom wants nothing more, of course, than to become president of the United States. And he's been saying all the right things in the past few months, praising Joe Biden like some kind of crazy sycophant playing the game, lining up the donors, running this campaign in secret. Watch.
Who in their mind would want to run when you have someone of such esteem as our incumbent president of the United States, with a record of accomplishments and a man of character, a man of decency? I'm old school. Talk about loyalty. I'll go to ends of the earth for this guy. I really would.
He's the company guy.
My God. And she puts her hands up with a pen over her mouth like, really? Give me a break. You're so full of shit. You are so slimy and full of... Oh my God, he's
Joe Biden, the great Joe Biden.
My God,
Like,
just
wow,
bow down to
You
him.
don't go up against Napoleon,
Right.
Caesar himself.
A man of great esteem, Governor DeSantis laid it out, said Newsom is running a shadow campaign behind Biden's back. Of course he is, and it's all part of the plan.
Joe Biden is experienced what I believe to be significant cognitive decline. And in other words, it's the toughest job in the world. Is Joe Biden experiencing this cognitive decline? Is it a danger to the country? Do you find when he speaks, what is your reaction to it?
Yes, he's in decline. Yes, it's a danger to the country. He has no business running for president. And, Gavin Newsom agrees with that. He won't say that. But that's why he's running his shadow campaign. He should not be running. He is not up to the job. And it is dangerous for this country.
Well, I will take Joe Biden at 100 versus Ron DeSantis any day of the week at any age. In fact, all of the folks
Do you think
on the
he's up to the
campaign
job?
trail.
You think he's 100%?
I've been spending
100%?
plenty of time with Joe
100%?
Biden in
Okay.
private and
Let him
public.
answer.
You don't know.
He's 100%. I take Joe Biden at 100 years old over a Ron DeSantis? Really? Okay. Well, the Democratic media...
That gives me some pause about his judgment.
There's a lot of things in Gavin Newsom's judgment pile. I mean, look at the fleeing of California. Mass exodus from that state. So California has descended into absolute chaos. I mean, they're literally discussing reparations right now. A state that had no slavery. They're going to pay individuals in the state of California over slavery to people who aren't even relatives of slaves in a state where they had no slavery. This is the madness of California.
Oh,
right
I can
now.
go on all day about the madness of California.
No,
My
we don't
dad
have time.
is
We
a
don't
small
have-
business owner, so
We don't have
yes.
we don't have 8 hours.
I was joking.
I know, we have
I
it.
already had serious doubts about his judgment, but go ahead.
So Democratic media is preparing for Gavin Newsom in a big way. Watch Meet the Press as they tee it up for him, so Newsom can get up to bat and just hit a home run with these questions.
Before
Why?
we play this, I have also noticed that Twitter is surfacing a lot of Gavin Newsom's tweets to me. And I'm like, what's going on here? Because I don't want to hear what you have to say about gun control. And I don't mark him as a high follower. I'm just watching. So I have noticed that there is some sort of political machine that is pushing him out in front of all of us more and more every day. I wonder if you feel that too. Sorry, let's go watch him on Meet the Press.
Do you think it's responsible for Democrats to put him at the top of the ticket, given those concerns?
Responsible. I revere his record. What he's done in 3 years has been a masterclass, close to 15 million jobs. That's 8 times more than the last 3 Republican presidents combined. The economy is booming. Inflation is cooling. It's 0.6% more than it was in the summer of 2020 at just 3.1%. Wait a second. We have American manufacturing coming back home, all because of Biden's wisdom, because of his temperance, his capacity to lead in a bipartisan manner, which is an underrepresented point. And so I have great confidence moving forward. So the answer is absolutely all in terms of the next 4 years.
He's excited.
He's
fired
really
up.
excited. And of course, all the corporate media is pushing him out there. Meet the Press. You're seeing it all over the place right now. Even on the front page of the Babylon Bee, they nailed it with this headline. Biden calls for the president to step down. I love this. By the way, CNN is, side story on all of this. So again, the argument is that Biden will step down maybe before the debate, maybe after the debate. It's part of their plan that they do not want RFK Jr. as part of the debate. The CNN rigging this debate, specifically working directly with Team Biden to outline the terms of the debate and whether or not there'll be teleprompters, whether or not there'll be earpieces, who else will be on the stage. Well, apparently CNN does not want RFK Jr. on the stage, even though he meets their threshold for the to get onto the debate stage. And he was asked about this, and he's furious. Watch.
Biden's campaign staffers, during their phone call with CNN, as reported by the Washington Post, said specifically that CNN needed to use criteria to determine who was going to be on the stage that would keep me off the stage. That he would not come to the debate as long as I was on the stage with him. And by the way, this is illegal. It's illegal under the Federal Elections Commission laws act. The act specifically says that the network can sponsor debates, but they need pre-existing criteria that are objective and neutral. CNN chose criteria that it thought would keep me off the stage. One of those criteria is that I have to be polling at 15 points or higher in at least 4 recent polls among 12 polling companies. The day after they published this criteria, we provided them with polls that fit their criteria. So and another poll came out that week. CNN's own poll is among those, which shows me at, I think, 16%. And the other criteria is that the candidates need to be on the ballot in sufficient states to gain 270 electoral votes. The problem that CNN has is that neither President Trump or President Biden is on any state ballot. They both have expectations that they're going to win the Democratic and Republican nominations, respectively. But that's not guaranteed. So they're not on the ballot anywhere. I'm the only one that's on the ballot anywhere. What the FEC says is if CNN colludes with those campaigns to exclude me, it's an illegal campaign contribution.
Well, that's exactly what happened. Isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah.
Sit there and think about this for a second. President Trump and President Biden are both not on the ballot yet in any state. RFK Jr. is. He's the only candidate that is. So therefore, under CNN's own guidelines, RFK Jr. should be the only one at the debate. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's wild.
And furthermore, wouldn't you want to have this other candidate up there on stage? But not if you're the Democrats, of course, because if you have Robert Kennedy up there as a, former Democrat, now independent, you're going to siphon off an enormous amount of votes for President Biden, of course. But if it's part of their plan to either make him look like this is his ailing moment, he just got destroyed by President Trump. Now he's got health issues. He's going to pull out of the race.
Right.
Having RFK Jr. in the room throws off that entire plan. I think it's it's awful. This just speaks to the fact that, we have this two-party uniparty, which controls everything in the United States, and they're bullies going after independent third-party candidates. Regardless of how you feel about RFK Jr., he has a huge amount of support, and he should absolutely be there on that stage.
Right.
And CNN should be ashamed of themselves, and this should be a federal election crime. But once again, the Bidens will get away with it, of course. But let us know what you're thinking on this. Do you think President Biden will be on the ballot, will be available and up for election by the fall of 2024, or do you believe Steve Forbes and these other Democrats who are now coming forward saying, no, there's a shift about to happen? Gavin Newsom ready to step in, or will it be Kamala Harris or one of those other choices that Steve Forbes put forward? Let us know in the comments below.